Okay, so each semester I've had the opportunity of working with students who want to become teachers. And one problem is that they always have their phones in their classroom, in the classroom. And like you can't even allow yourself to have a little screen, no screen time in the presentation. See? My point exactly.
She's a note taker.
So, for a capstone project, I always have them do a thematic unit, lesson, a unit, and that unit requires them knowing how to write lesson plans. We live in an age where it's technologically driven, right? So why not use that for advantage? Save paper, and of course we are familiar with podcasting. And if you want a copy of this, I can just email it to you. Just leave your email address, and I'll send you this. So to the next slide. I won't spend too much time on that one. Now, video case studies is another way of doing having real life scenarios in a video format. Same way we watch our news. Why not engage them that way? News takes how many minutes for us to capture one thing? Anyone? You get at least a minute or less to process all that information. And so we have to recognize that the attention span for our students are just getting shorter and shorter. Number one, they don't read anymore, right? Everyone is texting and spell check, because now we have smartphones, and I say stupid people using smartphones. Same way with your cars. My car is a 2018 Honda Touring, right? Connection, the car is really smart. If I put it in the autopilot, it will stay within the lanes without coming out of the lanes. As a driver, if you're distracted, you know what will happen to you. Yeah. Smart cars, right? Now, and again, I explained that, the case studies are real stories of real classroom situations. So in the event they are examining the learning style of a student when they put the IEP or whatever the case may be, you look at that case, you break it down. And so it's a lot shorter versus having them sitting there reading the actual textbook. Next slide. Now the UDL, this is pretty recent, probably 2012. And this framework is designed as a series of principles of representation, action, and expression and engagement. Now, in my classroom, this is how when I'm talking to you, I literally walk around because I cannot stand in one. I don't believe in sitting behind my desk or standing behind the desk. I'm not afraid of my students. And this allows me to interact with them, see who's texting, who's not paying attention, and it shows that little skill that we're supposed to have as professors, wickedness. She knew it. Next slide. And teaching simulation. Now, again, use simulation as a way to create situations, right? So that people, participants, look and feel and act like they would be in a real life situation. For our students to become more aware of what's happening outside of the classroom, you gotta make it real, or close to real as possible. What would you do in a situation? When they take their site-based SBN license, if they get that far, you get what? Real life situations, right? And your idea, the whole point of it is that you're able to process that information and to come up with what? With what? A solution. Thank you. Somebody's awake. Next slide.
The person who was taking notes.
Nearpod allows teachers to design, the lesson plan. It's an online resource. You can get links, I stated from YouTube, you integrate. In my own classroom, what I've done for day one, I asked my students, how do you learn best? Because if you don't know how your students learn best, you can't teach them. So are they visual learners? Are they tactile learners? Are they again, auditory learners? I also integrate YouTube lessons, some short clips. And you have to watch these clips yourself before you integrate it. Because you don't want to put a clip that makes no sense. So you integrated technology. Then the next Blogger. And these are all different apps, of course. You won't have to have your students do what reflections. So let's say you wanted to write about a particular chapter, summary. You get them to use Blogger, you create a website, and allow them, download the app itself. On your phones, here's what I want you to do. Since you like your phone so much, take out your cell phones, download, I want you to type in Common Core. For all the people who have iPhone, download the app, the Common Core app. It's a green. Then, are you going to signal? Common Core. Well, not that one. Common Core. So it's gonna look like this. It's a green thing with standards. Once you download this app, what it does, you now have the state standards. And by the way, we're now moving away from Common Core to next gen. So you know what? It's similar. Somebody else is gonna make money. Okay, Common Core is finally exhausted itself, and now a lot of states are now using next gen. With that, I want you to open one of any grade of choice, any subject, and once you look at the standard itself, you got it? So, for example, standard 2.1 RL, that's reading, right, which is second grade. What my students will do is that they take the actual standard from the app itself and use that to write a learner objective. Can somebody give me one? And I'll just read it to me. Anyone?
Recount stories.
Recount stories.
Including fables and folktales. From diverse cultures.
Fables and
folktales.
Okay.
From diverse cultures. And determine their central message. Lesson. Formal.
And those are which one?
2. RL 2.
RL. Okay. So with this, what they do is they take this actual standard itself, and now we have to create a learner objective. Can anyone do you know how to do that? Other than you. But I also give them what's called a DOK. So they have to go on the internet and they download the depth of knowledge. We know which is taken from Bloom's. That's how they learn it, right? Take those words and we're going to create a learning objective. Do you want it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Students will be able to
Swap that, right?
recount stories. That's basically just saying that's how the students are doing.
Okay, instead of us recounting the stories, let's use a particular story.
Okay.
So recount the events. I always use the 3 little pigs. And what?
In order to determine.
And determine, because you don't need the diverse portion. And determine the central message of what? Survival. Right? Now, we need something. Oh my God. Okay. So after you come up with this, you also need what's considered what? What would you need? A performance objective, because they need to be doing something. And, right? Second grade, what can they do in second grade? Knowledge of theory is very important, because if you don't understand the theories of Piaget, constructivist theory, and all that, you won't be able to write an excellent objective. So at second grade, what can a second grader do?
Making storyboard,
Okay.
write a summary.
Okay, so they can write a summary, but how many do we want? 1 page or two paragraphs? 2 paragraphs, right? Okay, there it is. So now you have an actual learning objective. You can measure it performance-wise, because at the end, that becomes your assessment when students have produced this. Make sense? This is used in the Common Core app. Can you go to the next one? How-tos. Now, after they've created their own lesson plan, I want them to take that actual lesson plan and make it a little bit more fun. Teaching young kids, nobody wants a boring teacher. And I can't be a boring professor in class either. So, my goal is to get them to download that, create their account. Once they create their accounts, it becomes more animated. Some of us, we have to think with the time. We cannot sit there and just talk at our adult students. Next. And Voki, right? It allows to give the character a voice as well, and you can customize their characters, you can create backgrounds and all that. And all of these are apps. Everything has an app these days. Next slide. Zuno, and again, this is another one here that allows you to, once they've created one of their created, they can also publish this, right? And they can access this from their smartphones. Next. Prezi. We are familiar with Prezi, which is PowerPoint still. But again, at the end, once my students create their lesson plans and everything, they can now break this down into a PowerPoint presentation. I provided a rubric for each stuff so I can measure it myself. And they like this because at the end, they have their teaching philosophy, they have all these apps that they can use as resources and present it. Thanks. And I just showed you the Common Core app, which is one of the apps that I use. And I mainly use this. Now, eventually, it's going to become extinct like everything else. And very soon, we'll be at the next gen, right? Animal Job. Now, this one is actually another good app that I found to be useful, because here they can create a longer video, right, as it says, and you have to purchase it, however. But you can integrate blogs, you can put Facebook in it, whatever you want to put in it, YouTube links, videos, and so on. And again, we're looking at when we use multiple intelligences approach, then you also have to integrate that into your teaching as well. Because what's the point of having technology and all these apps if you don't know how to use it? And next, I think that's the last slide, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Am I on time, sir?
What?
Oh, 5 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm good. I was trying to clock in, do you have any questions for me?
You have 5 minutes before question.
Oh, great. Hey. So here's what I want you to do. So now that you have, I always like to put you to work. So I want for you to use this as a model, and then I want you to create your own learning objective. You can work with a partner next to you, and then we'll have a quick share. So you don't get to sit passively and just allow you to give you information, but I need you to participate. You can work with, someone next to you. You got 2 minutes.
Oh, my.
2 minutes again.
I have a question. With the, my understanding is that you are training the teachers, right?
Yes.
So, do you do any recordings in your class to analyze the practice for them?
Yes, because what I want them to become is comfortable when they're interacting with other students. Some of them, they need to get, they have, our generation, it seems, have social, outward social skills. Maybe probably because of technology. But part of it requires us to make sure that we ourselves are approachable. And we set the standards. We model for them what we want to see. So by doing that, I partner them with another student that they don't know from a different culture, preferably. And in that way, they get to talk to each other, find out what the schooling process is like for that person, and share that. And in between, they build these friendships, and they get to learn things, changing their perception about people from other places. Because that's another issue in our society, is that we don't know each other, so we make assumptions based on what we see on television. It's the same thing they're going to do when they go in the classroom, when they're teaching other people's children, right? So yes, and with that recording, we watch it together, and then we talk about, okay, using some of the apps I've shown you, what was done properly, what could have been, how do you improve this, and so on.
But you're working with pre-service teachers that don't have access to a classroom yet.
Well, some of them do, because while they're doing, like my Ed 40 class, they are placed into our school where they have to do the actual observation. And we actually have sites where they definitely got to get that done, so yes.
So they're able to observe,
So
not
they're able to
necessarily do the teaching yet.
Not necessarily, but what I would encourage the teachers to do is that when they come there, I don't want the students to sit there and become passive in the learning process. Help them to work. Let them get some of that experience, get some of those practices. And, again, you as a faculty have to set the standard of what you expect. When you set those expectations, you make sure you execute it by talking to the site as well. But that doesn't preclude you from doing what I sound yourself. Good shot. And then again, how to, okay, so one of the questions that came up a couple of minutes ago was Blogger. The thing is, for the adult student, that's a little different, because they won't necessarily use that with young kids that would expose them to sexual content. Oh my goodness. We live in an age where Europe is actually way ahead of the United States on showing body parts. The point is, for adult students, I wouldn't necessarily have that criteria because I'm not exposing them to that. Their job is to make sure that they're creating any kind of written assignment so that it can be assessed in the classroom. Okay? So that's the main portion. In lieu of that, the only other issue that I find, as a substitute, you can use ePortfolio if they have access to that. They can use their own ePortfolio. They can upload everything to their ePortfolio and access that after graduation. Some schools allow, some don't. Or they can just manually save their files on their flash drives, and that will take care of that. Or use OneDrive or Google Docs or all these different apps. Like another app that I use is Google Voice. I don't give out my cell phone number every semester, but my students need to be able to text me. So I have a Google Voice number, and they can text directly to me, and I respond. You have to think of a way of preserving your own cell phone number without giving it to every student. And that's another way of also having a secondary number. And that's also another app, for you. Yes, sir, an app. You have that look on your face.
Okay. Is it a reminder that app will show up the text anonymously to students?
Oh my.
Well, the thing is with the,
It's perfect, it's nice, it's good. Well, I use it on my students, so it's like.
edit that. You need to edit that part. I was trying to wipe it and I realized that that's But again, thank you, and I trust that I did justice.
Yeah, but the test is about that,